بھی روتے ہیں، حسین ابن علی بھی، ہاں دوستوں یہ وقت ہے. صلوات.
صلی علی محمد علی محمد وجل.
سورہ فاتحہ. صلوات.
صلی علی محمد علی محمد.
جس دام حسن کا زہر سے ٹکڑے جگر ہوا، جس دام حسن کا زہر سے ٹکڑے جگر ہوا، سہ پارا دل کا آہوں سے زیر و زبر ہوا، سم کا جو روح پاک پہ ظاہر اثر ہوا، حالو سے امام پاک کا اقدام دیگر ہوا، ارے حالو سے امام پاک کا اقدام دیگر ہوا، راحت میں فرق اور شکم میں خلل پڑا، کٹ کے کلیجہ تشت کے اندر نکل پڑا، ارے راحت میں فرق اور شکم میں خلل پڑا، ارے کٹ کے کلیجہ تشت کے اندر نکل پڑا، فرماتے تھے حسن کے بلاؤ حسین کو، تھا دم بدم یہ حکم کے لاؤ حسین کو، بھائی کا حال زار سناؤ حسین کو، ٹکڑے میرے جگر کے دکھاؤ حسین کو، ارے ٹکڑے میرے جگر کے دکھاؤ حسین کو، کہہ دو کہ جلد آئیے ریلات کا وقت ہے، ارے سن جائیے کچھ آ کے وصیت کا وقت ہے، کہہ دو کہ جلد آئیے ریلات کا وقت ہے، ارے سن جائیے کچھ آ کے وصیت کا وقت ہے، آئے حسین اتنے میں چشم اشک با، چلاتے تھے کہ آپ کی غربت کہ میں نے سا، شبر گلے کو چوم کے کہتے تھے بار بار، میں تم پہ صدقے میرے نانا کی یادگار، ارے میں تم پہ صدقے میرے نانا کی یادگار، مجھ سے زیادہ ظلم و ستم تم پہ ہوئیں گے، ہم قبر میں تمہاری مصیبت پہ روئیں گے، مجھ سے زیادہ ظلم و ستم تم پہ ہوئیں گے، ارے ہم قبر میں تمہاری مصیبت پہ روئیں گے، بھیا تمہاری گود میں نکلے گا میرا دم، تم دو گے ہم کو غسل و کفن جب مریں گے ہم، ہوگا تمہارے پاس نہ کوئی بجز علم، ارے قاطع سرحانے ہوئے گیا خواہ جرے سے تب، ارے قاتل سرحان ہوئے گیا خنجر سے تا شبر تو بعد مرگ بھی راحت سے سوئے گا لاشا تمہارا گھوڑوں سے پامال ہوئے گا شبر تو بعد مرگ بھی راحت سے سوئے گا ارے لاشا تمہارا گھوڑوں سے پامال ہوئے گا برپا تھا اہل بیت پیمبر میں شور و شے بہنیں پچھاڑ خاک پہ کھاتی تھی کر کے بے سینے پہ ہاتھ مار کے چلاتے تھے حسین اب اٹھ گیا زمانے سے انبے کسوں کا چین ارے اب اٹھ گیا زمانے سے انبے کسوں کا چین بازو ہمارا لوٹ گیا ارے واہ مصیبتا باپ آج ہم سے چھٹ گیا واہ مصیبتا بازو ہمارا ٹوٹ گیا ارے واہ مصیبتا ارے باپ آج ہم سے چھوٹ گیا واہ مصیبتا جس دم حسن کا زہر سے صلوات
ہے ہماری درسگاہ ہے ہماری درسگاہ حق کا سیدھا راستہ حق کا سیدھا راستہ بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. Now it gives me great pleasure to welcome Maulana Asad Jafri to recite the Majlis tonight. Maulana has taken time out of his busy schedule. He's visiting us from Toronto. For those of you who haven't attended the Majlis in the last 2 days, this is his third Majalis, and there will be a Q&A session at the conclusion of the Majlis for boys 15 and above. So inshallah, please, I encourage everyone to attend. So please recite a loud salawat for Maulana Asad Jafri. Nare Takbir, Nare Takbir, Nare Risalat, Nare Risalat, Nare Haidari, Nare Haidari, for Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
فاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصراط المستقيم أنعمت عليهم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتحدون الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين صاحب العصر والزمان خليفة الرحمن إمام الإنس والجان ولعن الله أعداهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا سويته ونفخت فيه من روحي فقعوا له ساجدين صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Our discussion on dualism has reached its third night, and last night we defined the term dualism, or they mentioned dotai in Farsi, the concept and the idea that while we understand that the spirit and the body exists, we don't see the interdependence of each other. I mean, we believe that we are jism and we are soul, we are jism and we are ruh, we are body and soul, but these two elements are independent of each other. What I do to my physical body or how I treat my physical body does not affect my soul, and my soul doesn't affect my physical body. And the attempt has been, for the past now 3 nights, to move away from dualism and go towards monism, which is the idea of the cohesion and the harmony of the various dimensions of us towards one common goal. And we talked about a number of things last night. Before I get into my topic tonight, wherever I go in terms of my travel, I do my best to try to have a session with the sisters for a variety of reasons. The first of which is the fact that the sisters are always deprived of access to the speakers that come into town. The brothers are able to access us fairly easily, the sisters not so much. Secondly, what I have realized in the past few years is that the amount of work and effort that our sisters are putting forth to maintain their faith in Deen, then to raise kids on the path of the Deen, is incredible. When I have classes or seminars in Toronto on various topics, be it short courses or be it long, drawn-out courses, the ones that always show the most interest are our sisters. And wherever I go and when I have these sister sessions and when I give them a platform to kind of open up, there's so many common issues that I find across the board that I'd like to just speak a little bit about tonight in the beginning and then move forward to my actual content. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And don't worry, I mean, you should know me by now that I try to wrap everything up within 50 minutes to 55 minutes. I never go an hour over an hour. I think that's unfair on the crowd. I think that 45 minutes and then Masaib is more than enough. And I'll keep to that promise today as well. But I think that us men have to be a little bit better with our women. And it's a whole different topic altogether, and one that you won't like to hear on this side of the partition. But the reality is that a lot of our sisters, be it older mothers or younger sisters who are about to become wives, or younger sisters who are in their late teens or late 20s, they are struggling with a lot, and they quietly suffer. Either because us men don't give them a platform to speak up and speak out, or because they feel like even if I do speak out, there's no solution for me. So issues, for example, like the amount of dhulm that a husband does on the wife, or the amount of dhulm sometimes that fathers do on their daughters, and the imbalance of the tarbiyat between the son and the daughter inside the home, where the son is given azadi and the daughter is given pabandi. The son's given freedom and the daughter is imprisoned. And what I don't think we realize, and I'm with you, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a brother, I'm a son. What I don't think we realize that what we do is that we end up making them feel like this is what the deen says that I should be. I've had women call me who are abused, physically abused. And abuse is a huge issue in our community. a lot more common than you would think it would be. From physical abuse to inappropriate abuse to verbal abuse to mental abuse, bruises on their face, bruises on their soul, bruises on their confidence. And these are women that don't say a word because they don't want to destroy their family. And men think that Islam has given them that freedom. And we will get ours on the day of judgment. We will be asked about this and we won't have an answer. And I get phone calls from women who are abused, and then they cry and they tell me about the physical abuse. They actually tell me how he strikes me, when he strikes me. I go to their house, she shows me bruises where she can show me bruises. And then she says a statement to me, which breaks my heart. She says to me that your Islam, Maulana, has allowed him to do this to me. It's very hard for me to defend that. It's very hard for me to somehow tell her that it's not the deen. If we want, one point to myself, I'm a man, or at least half a man, or at least I have facial hair on my face. One point I want to make, and then I'll move towards the actual content. If we want the wilayat of our house, and we do, right? The wilayat is given to us. As men, we are the leaders inside the home. We are the wali, for reasons that are outside the scope of my discussion. It is up to the women now to accept the fact that the driver of the car is the man. Okay? Do not buy into the feminism of the West. There are reasons for that I tried to describe last night. But the reality is that we as men are the leaders of the home. And we want that wilayat. Some of us too much enjoy that wilayat, because we think that we are the kings of the house. So I come home and I want my chai with ilaichi. I want my kursi. That's my chair. I want this, I want that. And we think that there's a throne waiting for me, and the people inside the house should bow down and kiss my ring every single day. That's what I think as a man wilayat is. The reality is that true wilayat belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Innama waliyakumullah, the Quran says. Surely your wali is Allah. He gives that wilayat to who He pleases. What we don't understand is if we're ready to accept the wilayat of what's given to us by God as men, we should also accept the responsibility given as well to us. We are responsible to take our families to heaven. Men are. Hadith says to wake up your family for Fajr as if there is a fire inside the house. We have to wake up for Fajr ourselves first, to wake them up. So if the case is that we have to accept this wilayat, because Allah will ask me as the man inside my house, I gave you a wife, I gave you a very beautiful, pious, compassionate, loving wife. Did you help her get to Allah? I gave you awlad, children, 1, 2, 5, 6, such that there are many couples out there who are trying to have kids for 10, 15 years. And we will be asked, what did you do with the gifts that I gave you? Did you take them to Jannah or not? So we're quick to accept the chai. We want the house spick and span. We want the fresh cooked meal. We won't eat bossy food from yesterday. No, we want a fresh cooked meal today. You might think, oh, that's Burana's. No, it happens today. I'm sorry. It happens today. We also have to accept the heavy load of responsibility. If we're driving the car, beside me is my wife, behind me are my kids. We're going towards Allah. I'm leading the way in that regard. If we want to accept the fact that the wilayat comes from God, then let's accept how God exercises His own wilayat upon us. And accept that sirat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah does not rule over us with an iron fist or a whip or as if that we are the peasants and He is the master. No. What does He do? He leads with what? His rahmaniyat, His rahimiyat. Yes, I am your wali. Innama waliyakum Allah. At the same time, what I have made wajib upon myself, kataba ala nafsihi rahma, the Quran says. I've made mercy upon myself, wajib. So we can't have it either. We can't have it both ways, man. I'm sorry. If we want to accept the walayat, and we are the wali, we are the leaders, we have to lead with a soft hand and a soft tongue and the forgiveness of Allah and the mercy of Allah and the love of Allah. That if for some reason my kids or my wife, for example, gets upset, gets emotional, we are the ones that need to bring that down and put out the fire. Not show her, how dare you speak to me like that? Do you know who I am? I'm the leader of this house. We're having 21, 23, 25-year-old sisters now taking off their hijabs and running from the deen because of what's happening inside their homes. Either because they see their father mistreat their mother, or they see their father mistreat themselves. I beg you, as a son and brother of yours, please, if you are gifted with a wife and a child, treat them with the utmost love and compassion. Be patient with them. Help them to build their future. And part of the problem is, and I'll say it with the utmost responsibility, it's a live feed, it'll go on the YouTube site, that's fine. Part of the problem is the mimbar. These things are not talked about enough. I'm sorry, with all due respect. We have spent our entire life proving the imamat of Amir al-Mu'mineen to ourselves. Baba, he's Bilal Fasl, no doubt. He's Bilal Fasl to us. Let's move forward. Let's put out the fires inside the homes. What the example I gave last night, and then I'll move forward. You walk into a home, and the kitchen is on fire. It's ablaze. It's ablaze. And you look at the people who are the Ahle Khane, the people who are inside the home, and one person is knitting, one person is sewing, one person is watching TV, one person is on their device. I said, Baba, put the fire out, man, first, and then worry about everything else. Fire is roaring. They're continuing to be in their own little world. The job of the mimbar is to put those fires out. The word mimbar, mim, noon, ba, re, comes from nabara in Arabic. Nabara in Arabic means bulandi, elevation. Mimbar becomes a wasila of that bulandi, a tool of that elevation. Okay? So anyone who sits on this mimbar should be elevating the crowd along with himself. Now I told Riaz, I made a mistake these past 5 nights. I'm sorry. Before me and after me, inshallah, I'm bringing everybody down. But the idea is that, please, that's why you can do whatever you want in your centers, but don't sell the mimbar out. The mimbar is our salvation. This is not a maza entertainment show, with all due respect. I'm not here to give you what you want to hear. I'm here to give you what you need to hear. And sometimes it's a very sour taste in my mouth and in your mouth. We all have work to do. And we start from the top to the bottom, meaning actual height. So please, I ask you humbly as a son and a brother of yours, if you have women inside your home, treat them with the respect and love and compassion that they deserve. You know, the best thing that Imam Ali could use to describe Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, salamu alayha, Allahumma salli ala. A few days after the nikah, the Prophet comes to Imam Ali and says, Ali, how did you find my daughter? It's a very difficult question. Imagine your sister asking you, sab khairiyat hai kya? Everything okay? Everything good? What would you say? Look at the response of Imam Ali. Of everything he could say about her. Oh my God. He says, Ya Rasulullah, I found in your daughter Fatima the best hamsafar for me to my journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I found in Fatima the best travel companion to the journey of Allah. If I'm driving the car to Allah, the passenger can only be Fatima Zahra. Your wife is your hamsafar in this journey. Your wife is your travel companion in this journey. Right? Let's treat her as that, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, please. Can we, before I begin, can we ask you all to please move a little bit forward, please, inshallah? Yeah, if you don't mind. Let's fill the green gaps up, inshallah. Yeah, you guys are okay. Thanks. Beautiful to see. I know you've had long days these past 2 days. You're tired, and somehow you're here tonight. That love you have for the deen, may Allah increase that love. It's so inspiring for me to see half the crowd here is young guys. I love you guys. May Allah bless you guys always. Our discussion has been around the idea of the body and the soul. And sometimes we think that how I feed my body has no impact on my soul. Remember the window of the soul example I gave yesterday. Now, part of the problem is that we have to identify shaitan and his tactics. Okay? A lot of what happens inside of our brains is that Satan infiltrates inside of our brain and begins to now whisper inside of us, correct? And he begins to slowly take our minds somewhere else. Where the mind goes, the body follows. Okay? So what I want to do tonight is I want to look at one tactic of shaitan to ensure that we move forward in this journey. Okay? This conversation between Allah and shaitan that's been recorded in multiple areas in the Quran. One is Surah Al-A'raf, around 17, 18 verses. Sorry, the 17th or 18th verse onwards. Where now, of course, Allah is asking shaitan, why didn't you do sajda? And he says, Ana khayrun minhu, I'm better than he is. He's made of dirt, I'm made of fire. Allah kicks him out of the garden. And then shaitan says on his way out, okay? Please, I want my youth to understand. A lot of you want to be the best pious you can be. And sometimes it feels like you're moving forward, but something's pushing you back. And something is pushing you back. There are forces out there that don't want you guys to be pious individuals. They don't want you to be God-fearing, God-conscious. Flat out. They'll dangle carrots, multiple carrots in front of you to distract you off the path. We have to first identify those roadblocks, remove them, then you watch yourself speed towards your destination. One roadblock is shaitan and Satan. And the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relays this conversation in the Quran for us is a huge blessing. Not only is Allah saying he's your open enemy, I'll even tell you how he'll attack you. So that what? So that you will be able to understand where to be conscious, where to be mindful. On his way out of the garden now, again, if I can picture this for all of you guys, him and Allah having a back and forth, correct? He says what? Allah says, out. Fahbid anha, move from here now, you're out. You're ikhraj from here. On his way out, imagine now you're having a fight with God and you're storming out. He turns around shaitan to Allah and says, فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي, I'll leave, but by the way, all of this is your fault, God. Look at the himmat now and the boldness of shaitan. I was good. 4,000 years I worshipped you. No problems. I was your best jinn. And then this Adam kid comes in between and ruins everything. You knew that if you asked me to bow down to Adam, I wouldn't do it. Yet you still asked me to do it. So all of this is you. If I'm leaving, if I'm now a despicable entity in your eyes, this is all فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي, it's your fault. And then he says, very boldly, لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطِكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. Correct? Now, sometimes the translations in our Quran say that I will sit on the right path. Correct? لَأَقْعُدَنَّ does not mean sit. It means to ambush somebody. It's a big difference now. Okay? Shaitan never comes from afar and says to you, okay, I'm coming, I'm about 2 miles away. You can see me right here, I come. No. Right? There's no message saying approaching shaitan in 2 miles. No. Right? He ambushes like a cop sometimes, he's parked to the side, he's parked between 2 trees, you can't see him, you blow by him, and the sirens come. Had you seen him, you would have slowed down. So sometimes you see him, sometimes you get those high beams and you slow down. But an ambush, he says, I'm going to ambush lahum. I'm going to ambush your servants. Siratikal mustaqim. This ka is very important in this verse. The ka means your right path. Why did Shaitan feel the need to say your right path? Had he said siratal mustaqim, would have been fine. But he felt the need to say, look, your right path. I'll give you a very simple example. At least in our center, when people are leaving the program, and they know the majority of the people go down a certain road towards the home, and there's a cop sitting there, they'll drive by the cop, and they won't get pulled over, then they'll text everybody, right? Heads up, guys, cops, there's cops on this road, for example. I don't know the road names here yet, but inshallah I'll learn them. Okay, heads up. And a lot of you are going down that road. Just to let you know that, look, he's sitting there, you can't see him, just be conscious, okay? Shaitan is saying, look, of all the various paths out there, I don't care about that path. I'm not on the path to the casinos. I'm not on the path to drugs. I'm not on the path to women. I'm on your path. Siratikal, your straight path. I'm going to ambush them straight on your path. Now, as you're driving on that road and you got that text message, heads up, there's a cop at this intersection. What do the moment you approach that intersection? What do? You slow down. If you're Riyaz, you speed up. Have you seen him drive, mashallah? Ya Allah. The fact that I'm here every night, Allah, thank you very much. Allahu Akbar. There's brake lights and he's speeding towards the brake lights. Yes, take a picture of him, inshallah, please, right there. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You slow down and you're conscious of the fact that I know the cop is here somewhere. I can't see him, but I've been warned the cop is here somewhere. You become conscious of the area that you're on. The fact that Allah now is telling us, look, He's flat out telling you, He'll wait in the bushes, He'll ambush you on your path. On this path towards Allah, we have to be conscious and mindful, guys. Do things with purpose, as I mentioned last night. Make sure your GPS destination is God. You can reroute 1,000 times. I don't care. God doesn't care. As long as you get to my destination. He said, I'll ambush you. Fine, thank you very much. And then he goes on. لَأَتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرِهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. Again, a gift from God, I tell you. It's one thing where you know the enemy is coming. It's one thing where he announces, I'm coming from this route. It's a blessing. He then says, I will attack them. I will misguide them. I will mislead them from the front, from the back, from the right, from the left. If I had time, I would describe all four. They themselves require a whole majlis. We know that Shaitan himself is immaterial. We know that Shaitan's misguidance is also immaterial. So these paths are not physical paths, obviously. They're symbolic of something. We have to know what does he mean from the front, from the back, from the right, from the left. And just for tonight, I'm just going to talk about from the back. I feel like, this is just my own tajribah, my own experience, the back way that Shaitan misguides us is the most effective for a lot of us. Just talking to you young guys, these older guys, the emails I get, the messages I get, the convos I have, a lot of it is the back. What I mean by that, let's discuss that. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now, Tafsir says that when Shaitan says, I'll attack you from the back, that means that he will attack you using your past. Okay? Your past. It's a crucial discussion. Crucial discussion. What he does is that he tells you, he convinces us, that based on the mistakes that you've made in your past, you have no right to go towards God. So he makes us feel Like I want to pave my future to God with the sins of my past. Oh, it's a huge tactic he has. Especially those who are a little bit younger, older, mid-20s, late 20s, mid-30s. He makes you feel like, oh, all of a sudden now what, you found God? Mr. Piety all of a sudden? Do you forget how your high school years were? You forget what you did in grade 10, with who you did it with? Convince ourselves that God doesn't want to hear from me. He doesn't want to hear from me. I'll never be successful with God. The one thing that Shaitan, if I can do a khulasa bandi, a summary of how he wishes to misguide us, he wishes to change the way that God is inside of our brains. He convinces us that God will never accept your little worship. How many of us have worshiped Allah for 30, 40 years? How many of us in this room think for a moment that, you know what, yeah, I've done enough to get to Jannah? No one does. We all think that I'm going to fall short. I'm going to fall short. That's depressing after a while, right? 50 years of worship, it's never enough. You start to think, what does God want from me? He's never, Sariya Rida. I don't believe it. He has a very high standard. I'll never reach that standard. That's not Shaitan, it's Shaitan. Or he thinks that you've had a horrible past now. You can't just wake up in your 20s, find God, and just wipe out what happened in your past. And he starts to make you think that I have to have a perfect past to have a perfect future. I'll give you examples. Growing up in Toronto, my father, typical immigrant Karachi Pakistani father, very strict. He was 6'4", he was a big guy. Would never lay a hand on us because he didn't have to. One look and inna lillah, that's it. He had those eyes. I'm like, okay, Dad. Didn't say a word, just looked at us. If I was talking in a majlis and his head turned, I'm like, Ya Allah. That's it. So I would make my way anyways. He would set, there's 3 boys, and with the 4 of us, I have 3 brothers, including myself, there's 3 of us. And he would set curfews for us. When I was in my teenage years in Toronto, university years, you go out, you'd be home by 11 was my curfew, 11 p.m. I never graduated to that midnights level. Never got that promotion, 11 p.m. Follow the example. Now back then there was no smartphones, no alarms. You were kind of basing itself on your watch. Now I want you to imagine Friday night now, you're out with your boys, you're having a good time, halal fun inshallah, right? 11 o'clock hits and you are really far from home. You look at your watch, you're like, it's 11:02. I'm like, oh my God. By the time I get home, easily 11:45. 45 minutes past curfew. So now you get home somehow. And you approach the house, and the house, alhamdulillah, is completely shut down. Lights off outside, lights off inside. You think, okay, I have a chance. Hopefully, he fell asleep. So now you open the front door, and you go up the stairs very quietly. You get into your room, you slip into your bed. You don't even change your clothes, obviously. You get into your bed, and you sleep. And you snore like you've been there for 3 hours, mashallah. Then the morning hits. The morning. You open the door, you look around the hallway, Dad's not around. You know that Saturday morning, right? Dad has his, his anda, his chai inside the kitchen. So you tell yourself, look, go everywhere in the house, don't go to the kitchen. Because you know that he knows that he knows that you know that you were 45 minutes late last night. It's Dad, he knows everything. So you avoid the entire 20 minutes late every single day for 7 straight days. And then your boss comes to you and says, Assad. Assad. Like at least try to say Assad, right? Just try. I know you can say Assad. No, Assad, you've been late for a week. One more late and you're going to be written up, let's say, a warning. No problem, Tom. I won't be late tomorrow. And tomorrow I show up half an hour late. And I arrive in the building. I swipe my card. I go up to my 7th floor. I come out of the elevator. I ask my coworker, where's Tom? Tom's in his office. So I go all the way around the floor, avoid his office. into my cubicle. I sign in like I've been there for a good half an hour. I avoid the office. Shaitan does the exact same thing to us when it comes to God. Hear me out. Shaitan tells us young guys, you young guys, I'm not young anymore, you young guys, tells you guys that, look, after the night you had last night, you're going to set your alarm for Fajr. Wake up and go to the Musalla and say, Allahu Akbar. Really? Allah's the greatest? Put your head on some dirt, say, Subhana Rabbil Ala wa bihamdih. And you think for a moment that God wants to see you? After what you did last night, for who you did it with, if I were you, I would avoid God. Do everything else, but don't do worship of God. He doesn't want to hear from you. And meanwhile, God's like, that's the moment I want to hear from you. Look, hear me out. I want you to imagine now. Examples. I just give you examples. You guys understand it's a very smart crowd, mashallah. Your friend calls you up, and I mentioned this in the first Usher in Africa. Example that really hits home for me and for you as well. Not my example, someone else's in a book I read. Your phone rings at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that 3 a.m. phone call is never a good phone call. No one ever calls and says, kya haal hai? Don't do that at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's a bad phone call. They call you at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's one of your boys, your friends. He's panting, he's shaking, he's mumbling, he's stuttering, he's a wreck. He says, look, come and get me from here. You get up, you put on your pajamas, you put on your clothes, you go and you pick him up. And he's a wreck. For whatever reason, he's a wreck. You drop him home, you settle him down, you grab a coffee, you're good, you have him good, go get some sleep, everything's good. He called you at 3 o'clock in the morning when he hit rock bottom. My young guys, please hear me out. He called you at 3 o'clock in the morning. He could have called anybody. He chose to call you at 3 o'clock in the morning. Because he knew that if anybody can pull me out at 3 a.m., it's you. Now you as a person, you think, dang, he called me at 3 o'clock in the morning. He could have called his father, his mother, his brother, his brother-in-law. He chose to call me, meaning what? Maybe we're closer than I think we are. Meaning the fact that he calls you at 3 o'clock in the morning is a direct announcement that if I believe in anyone to pull me out of rock bottom, it's you. Correct? Imagine now, you've had a horrible Friday night. You broke several laws of God. You come home with an intense amount of regret. You hate yourself. You've hit rock bottom. At 6 a.m., you wake up and you say, Allahu Akbar. What message does that send to God? It sends a message to God that this guy has just hit rock bottom, drowning in regrets, very upset about last night, hitting himself. How could I? What were you thinking? And instead of running from me, he ran to me and identified me to be that one entity that can pull me out of his rock bottom. Meaning what? Make God your 4 a.m. rock bottom phone call. And stop telling yourself, or let Shaitan tell you that he won't pick up that phone call. Ujibu da'wati da'in idha da'an. Surah Baqarah. He said, I will answer the call of the caller idha da'an. Whenever they call me. Whenever they call me. If after 6 months we have a wake-up call and we end up reaching out to God, he'll answer us. If after 6 years of living my life, how I want to live my life, and then I get my act together, one jolt, one spark, I lose my father, I lose my mother, I lose my wife, let's say, I go for Hajj, I go for Arba'in, I come back, I go, that's it, I'm done that lifestyle, I want to go back to God, and you end up now approaching God, he's going to answer your call. He says it himself, whenever you're ready. Look, if you want to go see Prime Minister Trudeau, let's say, for example, for a meeting, you can't just, end up in Ottawa one day. Right? You say, look, Justin, if you're around, come down, I'm here, let's grab a coffee. Quick 5 minutes, if you have time. Doesn't work like that. Book an appointment, maybe in a couple of months he'll give you a 50-minute slot. He'll let you know when he has time. The higher you go up, the more harder it is to get time from that person. They'll give you a slot months in advance. It's based on their schedule. It's not how God works. God's schedule is based on your schedule. When you're ready, He's ready. You let me know when you're ready. When you call me, I'll pick up every single time. Don't let shaitan tell you that you have to be masoom to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't. You could have a closet filled with skeletons. I don't care. Now you're looking at me saying, oh, this guy has no idea what I've done, man. No clue who I've done it with, how many times I've done it. You have no clue. Yeah, you talk a big game up there. You have no idea. Let me tell you one statement and etch it somewhere in your heart and your soul, especially my sisters. As many sins as we have in our closet, in our past, in our high school years, our public school years, our bachmana in Karachi or Pakistan or India, wherever it is, as many sins as we have, the single biggest sin that we could commit is to convince myself that my collective sins are more powerful than His collective mercy. That's the biggest sin that we could commit. To tell myself that He is not powerful enough to forgive me. Because where we lack when it comes to behind me is that while God has forgiven me, I haven't forgiven myself. And we don't know how to do it. We don't know how to do it. The Christian faith talks all about love. Love, 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 love. To a certain extreme. To a certain extreme. Meanwhile, we are individuals that, we talk about punishment and adab, and especially the way that we present God to our small kids. I ask you, if you're a father or a mother to small kids, if you're a Sunday school teacher or a teacher in general to any small kids, don't use God to be the boogeyman inside your house or the bad cop. If you don't do this, God will punish you. If you don't do this, God will punish you. If you don't clean your room, God will punish you. If you talk back to me, God hates you. From what? From 5, 6, 7, 12, 14. Now at 18, 19. And oh, by the way, that God that I've been talking about, go and pray to Him. Go and worship Him. Go and submit to Him. He'll say, forget it. Why do I want to submit to a God that wants to punish me all the time? Doesn't happen? It happens. When they have a little bit of shu'ur and aql, they run from God. Because God's been presented as the boogeyman inside of my house. If I want anything done inside of my house with my kids, I use God. One strand of hair, God's going to hang you from that hair on the day of judgment. Allahu Akbar. Let's be very careful. Because then we start to think that God doesn't love me, doesn't want me, won't accept my deeds. He knows that I'm weak. He'll never be happy with me. And shaitan is laughing up a storm. It's exactly what he wanted to do. You don't need to be masoom and infallible and perfect for God to listen to you. You don't. So in this road of self-love and self-forgiveness, there are some steps to take, which I want to talk about. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, please. Because we should learn how God forgives us. We don't know how God forgives us. Hadith says that God forgives us to the point where the sin never occurred to begin with. I'll give you an example. I'll give you my examples. I'm sorry you're tired of my stories. I'll give you my examples. My own personal stories. It's an example I've given before, but I'll give it to all of you as well. All of you are with me? You're not tired, are you? Are you tired? Inshallah. Ya Allah. Ya Ali. Beautiful, beautiful. From the toes, mashallah. I love it. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'll give you my $10 later, inshallah. Thank you. Got to plant those guys properly, you know what I'm saying? So I have a 4-year-old son, Hassan. He's a big basketball fan, big surprise. Likes to draw. True story. Comes to me and says, Baba, I want some paper. No, please, nothing. Just, I want some paper. I said, Ji Huzur, I'll go and get some paper. We try to, of course, be a little bit green inside of my home, so we have a recycled paper bin for my kids when they want to doodle. But my kids always reject the recycled paper. He looks at the paper and he flips it over. Something is typed on the back. He says, no, Baba. I want your printer paper. I go, look, the printer paper is expensive anyways. Printer paper. So I give him a piece of crisp white printer paper. Grabs a pencil, grabs the paper, draws a basketball, the smallest basketball you've ever seen, in the corner of the paper. Gives it back to me. Says, Baba, I want another piece of paper. I went, yo, hold on one sec now. There's a lot of paper still left. You can use the other corners. He says, no, Baba, I want that paper. So I tried to fool him. I go into the room, I take the paper, I grab an eraser, I try to erase the basketball. Grown man trying to outdo a 4-year-old. Erase. And I blow off the shavings. I think I'm good. I go, and no matter how hard I try to erase the basketball, there's always a remnant, right, that someone drew on that paper. Yeah. I give it back to him. He says, no. This is the same paper that I used 5 minutes ago. Nice try. And no matter how hard I try, I'll scrub. I can never quite get it to how it was when it came out of the printer. God's forgiveness of our sins is to the point where the paper goes right back to how the paper came out of the printer. It never happened to begin with. That's how He forgives us. We don't forgive ourselves. We become so hopeless that we actually believe. I've had youth tell me to my face, I know that I'm going to spend eternity in the hellfire, Mulana. 19 years old. Has convinced himself that my akhirat is doom and gloom. When you think your akhirat is doom and gloom, you make your dunya your jannat. And thus shaitan comes and destroys everything. The first thing we have to do, we talk about going through our past and going through the process of self-forgiveness and self-love. This is a new topic for a lot of my elders. Never talked about when you were growing up. Right? We take a lot of our issues from the past as my elders, and we pick up the rug and we put it under the rug and we close the rug. And now in my living room, there's a huge issue, there's a huge lump inside my carpet that we'll ignore. That's how you dealt with it, that's fine. But that's not how these guys can deal with it. We have anxiety, we have stress, we have depression, we have suicide inside of our communities. Why? Because they feel like I'm not good enough for God. He won't accept me for this, that, and this reason. The first thing we have to do is acknowledge the fact that I was responsible for my mistakes. Do not do what Shaitan did. فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي, it's your fault, God. So what he did was Shaitan took off all the responsibility off his shoulders, put it on God. And we do that, I do that a lot. If I make a mistake, it's because of this person or that person. Had I been in a different city or different parents or the community or the alim or this or that, more English, more Urdu, I would have been different. So everyone else's fault but us. In the meantime, no accountability, no acknowledgement of the mistake. I am perfect had it not been for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And why do we fear death? We fear death because the grave is the introduction of who? Us to ourselves. Your grade 4 teacher isn't in your grave who told you you're going to amount to nothing. Your father's not in your grave who'll tell you you're a loser of a child. That other kid who bullied you in school isn't there. The center that never gave you English is not there, for example. Right? This uncle or that auntie who made comment after comment after comment about every pimple on my face, and if I gain 10 pounds, am I pregnant or not? All those aunties won't be there in your grave. All of that stuff won't be. You'll be in your grave. And that scares us because no one to blame there. The first step in self-forgiveness is acknowledge the fact it was me. It was me. And the example I'll give you is Nabi Yunus. Nabi Yunus was that prophet in the belly of the whale, yes? Okay, look at the difference now between what happened before the whale and after the whale. Before the whale, he says very, very quickly now, he says to God, these people are not worthy of being guided. I've tried. They keep ignoring me, rejecting me, ridiculing me. So what does he do? He leaves the people, gives up on them. Before God tells him to give up on them, he gave up on them. That was a mistake for him. Not a sin, but a mistake for Nabi Yunus. Allah now what? Allah now commands a whale or a mammal to come and swallow Nabi Yunus unharmed. Spend some time in the belly of the whale. Okay? In that darkness, now I want you to imagine now, symbolically, metaphorically now, the mammal in which Nabi Yunus, Jonah, is inside of that whale only resides in the bottom portion of the sea. Sometimes it comes up to the shore, otherwise bottom of the ocean. So now symbolically now, Nabi Yunus, Jonah, is inside the belly of the whale in the deepest portion of the ocean. Darkness upon darkness. Correct? The mammal is in darkness in the ocean, and Yunus is also inside that darkness as well. And the Quran talks about this. Namaz al-Khufayla. A lot of you, mashallah, read Namaz al-Khufayla. That namaz between Maghrib and Isha. A beautiful namaz, a very powerful namaz. My youth, sometimes you want some tips and some tools. This is one thing to inject into your everyday routine. Google Namaz al-Khufayla. Not right now. Focus on me right now. Do it when other speakers speak, not during mine, inshallah. In that we say what? وَظُنُونِ إِذْ ذَهَبًا مَغَاضِبًا فَظَلَّ أَنْ لَن نَقْدِرَ عَلَيْهِ فَنَادَى فِي ظُلُمَاتٍ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ سُبْحَانَكَ إِنِّي كُنْتُ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Correct? Quran says that in the darkness, he called out to God. Meaning what? He had a moment to think. He had a moment to contemplate. In that darkness, he says, he didn't blame God, didn't blame that person, this village, that people, that community. No. He says, first of all, An la ilaha illa anta. There's no God but you. Subhanaka. Glory be to you. You are worthy of all praise. And then right away, he turns the entire mistake onto him. Inni kuntum min al-zalimin. I made the mistake. Wasn't them, wasn't you, wasn't the mammal, nothing. It was me. I made the mistake. Now I realized it. I didn't realize that before. Now I know. It was my mistake. I walked there. I did this. I smoked that. I heard this. I was with him, with her. It was me. Shaitan did not sit there and pull my arm. Doesn't have physical control over us. He has mind control over us. He suggests, he whispers. He has no actual physical control over us. Doesn't drive our car, doesn't walk our legs, does not move our arms. We do that. He whispers, we say okay. He whispers, we say no. And then the Quran says, we heard the call of Nabi Yunus. We freed him from the darkness. وَكَذَلِكَ نُنْجِلْ مُؤْمِنِينَ. We'll do the exact same thing to the believers. Meaning what? The moment you acknowledge the fact that, yes, God, I messed up. It was me who did that. In grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, with that girl or that boy or this drug or that alcohol or that casino or that club, it was me. You're right. I was foolish. I was weak. I had a moment of weakness. I'm sorry. I'm coming to you, hands and knees, asking you for your forgiveness. From this verse alone, we can accept that what? God will pull me out of that darkness. But not before we accept our own mistakes. Stop blaming everybody, guys. I will also stop blaming everybody. It's not always everyone's fault. Sometimes it was me. First point, acknowledge. Okay? Second point, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The second point in terms of self-forgiveness and self-love is to ensure that you understand that the emotion that's called remorse and guilt is very important. I'll make this point, then go towards Masahib. Anyone here studies psychology or is a counselor or anything like that? Sometimes the way that the West presents emotions to our kids is not how Islam does it. If you go to a counselor and say, I'm riddled with guilt, I'm riddled with remorse, they'll say right away, that's a very negative emotion. Get rid of it. Free yourself. It's going to damage you. Islam says no. It's actually a very motivating emotion. Think about it for a moment, okay? Hear me out. Think about it for a moment. You are sitting there at 2 o'clock in the morning inside of your room. Nobody is there. It's you and yourself, and you commit a sin. Friday night, let's say you're with a person you shouldn't be with. You do a few things you shouldn't do. You drive home by yourself. And either in your room or in the drive home alone, you're beating yourself up. Correct? Sometimes we sin and within seconds, we feel horrible about it. Baba, you're in your room. There's no cameras there. Your mom is not there. Your dad is asleep. Your friends aren't there. Your boys aren't there. No one is there. No one is there. You did the sin by yourself. What are you feeling guilty of? The fact that you feel guilty after that sin when no one is around, you've identified there's a second entity who's also watching what I'm doing. And I'm answerable to him. I mean, sometimes guilt and remorse reminds us of the presence of God himself. Do we get that? Because remorse is very important. Our fourth Imam says half of tawbah is remorse. The moment you commit sin and not feel remorse, that's a dangerous level you've been to. You become desensitized to your own sin. So remorse is huge. Sometimes we allow that remorse to bury us, to think that, oh, because I'm so guilty, God will never want to hear from me. No, it's precisely that remorse that's pushing us towards God. And he's waiting with open arms. So I ask all of you very humbly, one very successful tactic Shaitan has on our youth is the fact that he has convinced our youth that God doesn't want to hear from you. That God doesn't want you to reroute his GPS every single time. Stop making a mistake. It's very simple. Go right, go right. Don't go left every single time. One mistake, two mistakes, fine. But every time reroute? No. And God says you can hit the reset button whenever you want to. That's the beauty of God. Whenever you decide to hit the reset button and restart all over again, I'm here when you refresh, no problem. You can reset anytime you want. When you're ready to reset, I'll reset with you. But don't let Shaitan come in and play with that image of God. Because God says, when did I ever tell you that I won't listen to you? When have I ever told you that I'll close the door on you? I won't accept your worship. I won't forgive your sins. When have I done it? In fact, I've done the opposite. As I said today, or actually this morning, in the beginning of the speech, a lot of times my kids ask us very boldly, last point then Masayib, they ask us very boldly, I love these kids, they're very bold. They say, look, namaz wajib, fasting wajib, hajj wajib, everything's wajib on us. What's wajib on God? Oh. If my parents asked the alim that, what would you get? Say it. My sisters know, yeah. From there I heard chappal, because they're the ones who give the chappal sometimes, yeah. To us and to the kids. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And then I remind them that God himself says, Kataba ala nafsihi rahma. Kataba yani wajaba. I've made mercy wajib on myself. But you have to give me a reason to be merciful towards you. I need a bahana, an excuse. Just give me a crawl towards you. I'll do the rest. Just you do what you can, let me do what I can. Nabi Musa is at the edge of the water. Pharaoh is behind him. His men is behind him. He has the Bani Israel tribe. God says to Pharaoh, to Musa, what? Musa, strike your staff on the ground. He strikes his staff on the ground, the water splits open. He walks right through. Are you telling me that had he not hit that staff, the water wouldn't open? No, God can do whatever he wants. By him telling Nabi Musa that you strike your staff, he's telling Musa, you do what you can, then I'll do what I can. Just try. Just go towards God. Tonight, go towards him. Say, God, look, I had a horrible past, a horrible high school years. I had a horrible university. I've committed so many sins, so many mistakes. No one else's fault. I'm coming to you in sincerity, saying, look, please help me get closer to you. Everybody here wants to be close to God. Nobody sins to God out of the enmity of God. Oh, I'm going to show God. You watch what I do. No one does that. We're weak. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا, the Quran says. You've been created to be weak. That's why you go back to God. وَأَتُوبُ إِلَيْهِ وَأَتُوبُ إِلَيْهِ وَأَتُوبُ إِلَيْهِ. Reroute, reset, restart every single time. He'll be there whenever we call. إِذَا دَعَانْ صَلُّوا عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَعَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ. Because the sacrifice that's been given to have this deen of ours today is a very big sacrifice. A very big price has been paid for us to be able to call our deen Islam today. And not only on the plains of Karbala, but way beyond that as well. The mission of Bibi Zainab The days after Ashura, the way she was able to take her brother's mission and complete that mission for him is remarkable. They say that on the 23rd of the month of Ramadan, 21st of the month of Ramadan, the doctor has come now and he was checking up on Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says to him, Mawla, the poison now has spread to your entire body. It's a matter of moments now that you'll leave this world. If I were you, I would begin to give your kids nasihat, their last advice, whatever you want to tell them. This is a good time to tell them. He talks to Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain, Ibn Hanafiya, everybody. And then he calls Zainab. The name Zainab literally means Zain and Ab, the zinat or the beauty of her father. That's what Zainab means. And as you know, if you have daughters as fathers, daughters are different than sons. Daughters are very close to us as fathers. We have a special place in our hearts usually for our daughters. Imam Ali was no different. Something about Zainab that caused the softness of the heart of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He calls Zainab alone in the room, sits her down and begins to tell her that Zainab, after me, this will happen to you. That will happen to you. In this very Kufa, this will happen to you. And one by one, he's telling Zainab, when this happens, be patient. When that happens, be patient. When this happens, be patient. She's listening now. Can you imagine how difficult it is? Your father is dying in front of you, and he's telling you all these things that are very difficult to listen to, and she's listening. She's listening. And then when he's done, she says, Baba, I'll be patient. I'll be patient. But can I ask you one question? She says, if ever during my difficulties I was to call you for help, would you come and help me, Baba? He says, of course I would. Let's examine tonight where Bibi Zainab called Ali for help. 2nd of Muharram, this qafla arrives in this desert plain. Imam Hussein's horse wouldn't move. The Maqta says 7 horses were changed. All 7 wouldn't move from where they were until he asked the Bani Asad tribe, what is the name of this land? Some said Nainawa, some said Shattul Farat. A Buzurg, a senior, came and said that Mawla, our Ajdal used to call this place Karbala. When they heard Karbala, Bibi Zainab began to cry. But she never called Ali for help. Ono Muhammad are brought back to the khayma. Everyone's waiting for Bibi Zainab's reaction. The khayma opens slowly. Bibi Zainab walks out. Kneels down in between her own and her Muhammad. She places one hand on the chest of Own, one hand on the chest of Muhammad. She kneels down to sajda, says, Ya Allah, accept my qaleel sacrifice in your kingdom. She cries, but she never asks Ali for help. She watches as Ali Akbar falls from the horse. Imam Hussein goes roaring inside the Maidan of Karbala. The khak of Karbala in the air. He can't see anything. Aina Ali Akbar. Aina Ali Akbar. Where are you, Ali Akbar? He gets to Ali Akbar. She watches him pull out the barchi of Ali Akbar's chest, but she never asks Ali for help. She watches Abul Fazl's right arm and left arm. The alam come back, the alamdar not come back, but she never asked Ali for help. Till Zainabiyah, on 70 steps away from Imam Hussein Shahadat, watching people surround Imam Hussein, watching Shimr bin Dhul-Joshin 13 times separate the head from the body, but never asked Ali for help. There came a moment when this qafla now is going towards Kufa and Sham. She mounts everybody on the camel. She's there by herself. Zainab is there by herself. She looks out to Furat and says, Abbas, I never thought that that day would come where I would mount myself on the camel. But she never asked Ali for help. She travels from Karbala to Kufa, Kufa to Sham. There comes a moment now where she enters the Darbar of Sham. 7 doors to that courtyard. She enters one door, the second door, the 6th door, the 7th door opens, and there in front of Zainab are 700 non-mahram men waiting for this tamasha to unfold. She stops at that door and says to Imam Sajjad, Sajjad, tell them that this Zainab will not enter this darbar. Puppy Amma, a little bit of courage, a little bit of himmat, I'm with you. Let's enter the darbar. There's 700 non-mahram men. How could the daughter of Fatima enter this darbar? Eventually Imam Sajjad says to Zainab, I'll call with you, Puppy Amma. You're the Imam of my time, Sajjad. Whatever you say, I'll do. I'll enter the darbar. Just answer me one question. What is that, Puppy Amma? Which way is it to Najaf? She turns to Najaf and says, Baba, your Zainab is asking you for help. Matam Hussain.
حسین مومن حلقہ بنا لیے. سنڈے اسکول کے اسٹوڈنٹس آج نوا خوانی کریں گے. آپ لوگ ان کی حوصلہ افزائی کے لیے حلقہ بنا لیجیے. یا حسین 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 یا حسین.
سار اللہ خون خدا یا حسین یا حسین. سار اللہ خون خدا یا حسین یا حسین. کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ یا حسین یا حسین. وادی سے انبیاء یا حسین یا حسین. سار اللہ خون خدا یا حسین یا حسین. ای جان دل مادر حسینا, ای جان دل مادر حسینا. ای بے کسو بے یاور حسینا, ای بے کسو بے یاور حسینا. تشنائے القما یا حسین یا حسین. حسین سار اللہ خون خدا یا حسین یا حسین. یہ ظلم و ستم یہ زور و جفا, یہ ظلم و ستم یہ زور و جفا. یہ بے تالہو بے جرم و خطا, اب یہ بے تالہو بے جرم و خطا. ہر زمین کربلا یا حسین یا حسین. سار اللہ خون خدا یا حسین یا حسین. کہتے ہیں مصطفیٰ یا حسین یا حسین.
یا حسین یا حسین شاباش یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین. زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. بے وارثی ہو یا بے ردائی, بے وارثی ہو یا بے ردائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. پیغام تیرا مٹنے نہ دوں گی, پیاسی رہوں گی پیدل چلوں گی, پیاسی رہوں گی پیدل چلوں گی. مظلومیت کی بن کر گواہی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. پرچم اٹھا کر غازی کا اپنے پورے کروں گی میں تیرے وعدے, پورے کروں گی میں تیرے وعدے. بابا کریں گے مشکل کشائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. ہونٹوں کی سر پر اس وقت چادر لے لوں گی بدلہ جب اے برادر, لے لوں گی بدلہ جب اے برادر. کہتی ہے تجھ سے زہرا کی جائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی,
دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا.
بیٹوں کا ماتم اس دن کروں گی, چہلم تمہارا جب کر چکوں گی, چہلم تمہارا جب کر چکوں گی. میں نے یہی ہے منت اٹھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. چادر کے بدلے سر لوں گی اس کا, مجلس کی خاطر گر لوں گی اس کا, مجلس کی خاطر گر لوں گی اس کا. نسل یزیدی دے گی دہائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. ہر گھر میں ہوگا اب تیرا ماتم, ہر روز ہوگا مثل محرم, ہر روز ہوگا مثل محرم. دیکھے گی اب تو ساری خدائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. تابوت تیرا غازی کا پرچم اٹھتے رہیں گے دنیا میں ہر دم, اٹھتے رہیں گے دنیا میں ہر دم. میں نے قسم ہے زہرا کی کھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم رہے گا. زینب کا تجھ سے وعدہ ہے بھائی, دنیا میں تیرا ماتم
رہے گا. حسین 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 حسین.
سلام غازی سلام غازی, وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی
سلام غازی, وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی.
سلام
غازی سلام غازی, وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی.
جگہ جگہ ہے علم گواہی, دلوں پہ تیری ہے بادشاہی. جگہ جگہ ہے علم گواہی, دلوں پہ تیری ہے بادشاہی. لبوں پہ تیرا ہی نام غازی, وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی, وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. تیرے علم کا ہے ہم پہ سایہ, علم پہ سایہ ہے پنجتن کا. تیرے علم کا ہے ہم پہ سایہ, علم پہ سایہ ہے پنجتن کا. بلند تیرا مقام غازی, وفا کا تو ہے سلام غازی سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی علم کا جب سے ہوا ہے سایہ زمین کربو بلا پہ مولا علم کا جب سے ہوا ہے سایہ زمین کربو بلا پہ مولا تیرا ہے چلتا نظام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی تو با وفا ہے تو لافتہ ہے بے آسروں کا تو آسرا ہے تو با وفا ہے تو لافتہ ہے بے آسروں کا تو آسرا ہے جہاں میں چرچا ہے عام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی حسین مولا سے پیار کرنا حسین پر جا نثار کرنا حسین مولا سے پیار کرنا حسین مولا پر جا کرنا یہی ہے تیرا پیام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی جو تیرے بازو قلم نہ ہوتے اسیر اہل حرم نہ ہوتے جو تیرے بازو قلم نہ ہوتے اسیر اہل حرم نہ ہوتے نہ جاتی زینب یو شام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی ہائے ہائے شام 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 ہائے ہائے شام
محمد متوجہ زیارت
السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميع شهداء كربلاء ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء سلطان أبو الحسن يا علي بن موسى الرضا كن شفينا وشفيء والدنا في يوم الجزاء ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليكم يا صاحب العصر والزمان السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن السلام عليك يا مظهر الإيمان عجل الله تعالى فرجه السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
I ask youth, please go downstairs. In 9 minutes, inshallah, there will be a session with Maulana, 15 age plus. Youth are requested to go downstairs in the basement. Yeah, 9:30, it's 9:21, so 9 minutes left. So you guys have a refreshment outside and go downstairs. It's only for boys.
पर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सलवात अल्लाहुम्मा